Imagine waking up one day to find your entire life savings gone. Not because of a market crash, not because of bad investments, but because the company you trusted was built on nothing but lies. This is the story of how America's most innovative company became its biggest corporate fraud, destroying thousands of lives and changing Wall Street forever. The rise of an empire in the 1990s, one company stood above all others as the symbol of American innovation and success. Its name was Enron. Founded in 1985 by Kenneth Lay through the merger of two natural gas companies, Enron transformed itself from a simple pipeline operator into a revolutionary energy trading powerhouse that dominated Wall Street. By the year 2000, Enron was the seventh largest publicly traded corporation in the United States, boasting revenues of over $101 billion. Fortune magazine named it America's most innovative company for 6 consecutive years. Its stock price soared to $90 per share, and everyone from pension funds to individual investors wanted a piece of this golden opportunity. But beneath the gleaming facade of success, a sinister plot was unfolding that would soon shock the world. The architects of deception at the helm of this empire were 3 key figures: Kenneth Lay, the charismatic CEO and chairman; Jeffrey Skilling, the brilliant but ruthless chief operating officer; and Andrew Fastow, the chief financial officer who would become the mastermind behind one of the most complex fraud schemes in history. These executives didn't just bend the rules, they shattered them completely. Using sophisticated accounting tricks that would make even seasoned financial experts' heads spin, they created an elaborate web of deception designed to hide one simple truth: Enron was hemorrhaging money. Their weapon of choice: special purpose entities, or SPEs. These were shell companies created specifically to move Enron's massive debts off its official balance sheets. Imagine hiding your credit card bills in your neighbor's mailbox and pretending you have no debt. That's essentially what Enron did, but on a scale of billions of dollars. Fastow created partnerships with names like Chuco, La Jam, and Raptor, entities that existed only on paper but served a crucial purpose, making Enron look profitable when it was actually drowning in debt. Through these partnerships, Enron would sell assets at inflated prices to these entities, booking immediate profits while hiding the fact that they still controlled these entities and guaranteed their debts. But it gets worse. Fastow personally profited from many of these partnerships, pocketing over $30 million, while Enron's employees and shareholders remained completely oblivious to the fraud, the mark-to-market magic. To further inflate their numbers, Enron adopted a controversial accounting method called mark-to-market accounting. This technique allowed them to record potential future profits as actual revenue today. Let me explain how audacious this was. In July 2000, Enron signed a 20-year deal with Blockbuster Video to provide on-demand entertainment services. Before a single customer was served, before the technology was even proven to work, Enron claimed estimated profits of over $110 million from this deal. When the partnership fell apart just 8 months later, Enron continued to claim these phantom profits, even though the deal resulted in a massive loss. This wasn't innovation. It was financial fiction. But Wall Street analysts, blinded by Enron's reputation and impressive presentations, rarely questioned these numbers. Those who did were often dismissed or ignored. The whistleblower in August 2001, one brave woman decided she couldn't stay silent any longer. Sharon Watkins, a vice president at Enron, wrote a 7-page letter to CEO Kenneth Lay, warning him that the company could implode in a wave of accounting scandals. She described the company's practices as creating a veil of secrecy around questionable transactions. But instead of investigating her concerns, Lay and other executives dismissed her warnings. The fraud machine kept churning. In Enron's culture, making money at any cost was acceptable. Employees who questioned unethical practices were sidelined, while those who helped inflate the numbers were rewarded with massive bonuses and promotions. This toxic culture, endorsed from the very top, created an environment where fraud wasn't just possible, it was encouraged. Ironically, Enron had a 64-page code of ethics that CEO Kenneth Lay himself had signed, stating that the company enjoyed a reputation for fairness and honesty. That document would later become a bitter symbol of corporate hypocrisy. The collapse, the house of cards, began to crumble in October 2001 when Enron announced it was restating its earnings, admitting it had overstated profits by nearly $600 million over the previous 4 years. The revelation sent shockwaves through Wall Street. The company's stock price, which had reached $90 just a year earlier, plummeted to $20 within days. As the Securities and Exchange Commission launched a formal investigation, investor confidence evaporated. Major competitor Donaghy briefly considered acquiring Enron at a bargain price, but the deal fell through when the full extent of the fraud became clear. On December 2, 2001, Enron filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. Its $63.4 billion in assets made it the largest corporate bankruptcy in American history at that time. The implosion was so rapid and devastating that analysts struggled to comprehend it. As one observer noted, it had taken Enron 16 years to grow to $65 billion in assets and just 24 days to go bankrupt. The human cost was staggering. 29,000 employees lost their jobs overnight. But the cruelty didn't stop there. Many of these employees had their entire retirement savings invested in Enron stock, encouraged by company leaders who assured them the stock was solid even as insiders were selling their own shares. Workers lost over $2 billion in pension savings and $1.2 billion in retirement funds. Lives that had taken decades to build were destroyed in weeks. The dominoes fall. Enron's collapse triggered a cascade of consequences that reshaped the corporate landscape. Arthur Andersen, one of the world's 5 largest accounting firms and Enron's auditor, was found guilty of obstruction of justice for shredding documents related to the SEC investigation. The firm, which once employed 28,000 people, essentially ceased to exist. Criminal investigations led to indictments of 22 executives. The FBI conducted over 1,800 interviews and collected more than 3,000 boxes of evidence in what became the most complex white-collar crime investigation in the Bureau's history. Jeffrey Skilling was convicted on 19 counts of securities and wire fraud and sentenced to 24 years in prison. Andrew Fastow pleaded guilty to conspiracy charges and received 10 years. Kenneth Lay was convicted on multiple counts of fraud and conspiracy, but died of a heart attack before sentencing. The aftermath and lessons. The Enron scandal exposed critical failures in corporate governance, accounting practices, and regulatory oversight. In response, Congress passed the Sarbanes-Oxley Act in July 2002, the most significant reform to corporate financial reporting and auditing since the Securities Act of 1933. This landmark legislation imposed strict new rules on corporate executives and accounting firms. CEOs and CFOs were now personally liable for the accuracy of their company's financial statements, facing criminal penalties for fraud. The act also expanded protections for corporate whistleblowers, creating anonymous hotlines for employees to report financial misconduct without fear of retaliation. But Enron's cautionary tale extends beyond new regulations. It revealed how a toxic corporate culture, one that prioritized short-term profits over ethics, that rewarded deception over honesty, could corrupt an entire organization from top to bottom. It showed how easily smart, educated people could be complicit in fraud when the incentives were aligned and the pressure to perform was intense. The scandal also highlighted the failure of gatekeepers. Where were the auditors who were supposed to catch these irregularities? Where were the Wall Street analysts who were supposed to ask tough questions? Where were the regulators who were supposed to protect investors? The answers were uncomfortable. Many of these gatekeepers had conflicts of interest, lacked independence, or simply failed to do their jobs. The modern parallels, remarkably, history has a way of repeating itself. In recent years, we've witnessed similar corporate frauds that echo Enron's playbook. Bernie Madoff's $65 billion Ponzi scheme, the largest in history, showed that even a NASDAQ chairman could deceive thousands for decades. The Theranos scandal, where founder Elizabeth Holmes claimed revolutionary blood testing technology that never worked, demonstrated that innovation hype could blind even sophisticated investors. And most recently, Sam Bankman-Fried's FX cryptocurrency exchange collapse revealed that new technology sectors aren't immune to old-fashioned fraud. These cases prove that the lessons of Enron remain critically relevant today. In our modern economy, where financial instruments grow increasingly complex and pressure for growth intensifies, the temptation to cut corners or manipulate numbers hasn't disappeared. It's simply found new forms. The Enron scandal stands as one of the most devastating corporate frauds in American history, a stark reminder that no company is too big, too innovative, or too trusted to be above scrutiny. It destroyed lives, shattered trust, and forced a reckoning with how we regulate and oversee corporate America. If this story opened your eyes to the dark side of corporate greed, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into history's most shocking financial scandals. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode, and let us know in the comments, do you think we've learned from Enron, or are we doomed to repeat these mistakes? Until next time, stay skeptical, stay informed, and remember, when something seems too good to be true, it usually is.